some strife on the board right now whether or not to appeal this. So one, thanks to Peggy Littleton and Bob Schaefer, who stood up for taxpayers and said, just ask first. But secondly, we don't know if the Board of Education is going to appeal this. So it could be that you have the courts, you've got the Department of Education, you've got the Attorney General all saying, just ask the people before you raise taxes, and it's just the governor on the other side. We don't know. I'm going to ask you a question you're not going to answer, but here goes. This is going to go to the Supreme Court. The governor is going to appeal this no matter what CDE does, because he says he's going to, and he's absolutely positively confident, so confident he won't call a special session to talk about this. He won't change his budgeting. Honestly, the Supreme Court has never felt too favorable on these issues. We've got a court that it can be very political. This is going to be a tough challenge. I have no idea what's going to happen. What's going to rule the day? And I'm going to ask you to project a little bit. What's the core of the issue, and how do you plan on winning this?
Well, I think any lawyer who would take a case, at least let me talk about myself. I took this case because I believe passionately that we're right on the law. And then when I delved into it more, when I did the open records request, when we did the discovery on the Department of Education, I believe that the facts are so compelling that these so-called debrucing elections didn't do what everybody said they did. They did not improve any impact whatsoever on property taxes, let alone a $118 million increase in property taxes this year, let alone a $4 billion property tax increase over a 10-year time frame. Not only do all the documents say that, the Department of Education's own documents, when I did discovery on them, show that the Department of Education was advising the school districts in the late 1990s when these debrucing elections were taking place that they were going to have no impact on property taxes. We have the Department of Education's own documents. We have the actual election ballot measures themselves. We have the Tabor election notices, which make it clear no impact on property taxes. And the law is really clear that if you want to actually change the property tax revenue limit, you got to make the voters specifically aware that they're voting on that. And I think all of that is compelling. So I believe very strongly in our case, and I have to remain optimistic that the Colorado Supreme Court will see that when we bring this case before them.
The state treasurer was one of the witnesses you brought in, and I really like Carrie Kennedy. I think she's a great lady, and I disagree with her on this, on some others.
She's a very delightful person, and she gave very honest testimony. I think from the defendant's perspective, perhaps too honest testimony.
As the judge said, surprisingly candid testimony.
She says that in her opinion, yes.
According to the state constitution, you need to ask for voter approval if you're going to increase debt, if you're going to increase taxes, or if you're going to change policy which brings in more tax revenue. Carrie Kennedy blatantly said, did she not? Yes, Senate Bill 199 was a change to tax policy that brought in more money. Did I mishear that?
That's what she said. That's what I think the transcript shows. And when you read her testimony, I think it's very clear.
And again, she was invited to be here. She couldn't be here, but I have no doubt that she would be. She doesn't back away from too many fights.
No, that's right.
So where does this leave us from a political point of view? I know you're not involved in the lawsuit, and I don't think our lawyer here is going to be talking about the political ramifications. Is there pressure to have a special session here to decide what to do?
Well, we certainly think that the governor ought to provide the people of Colorado with a plan B, a contingency plan, something, so that we're not left scrambling at the last minute, whether the Supreme Court takes it or not when they decide, trying to figure out what we do in the event that the trial court's ruling is upheld. Beyond that, it becomes a budget three-ring circus where the taxpayers of the state of Colorado, the working families, the students who are all affected by this, are forced out on the tightrope without a safety net. And that is simply irresponsible.
At this point, I want to make really clear.
Yeah.
I remember coming down to the state legislature and testifying on behalf of a bill that would take this $118 million and set it aside, because I was the one initiating a lawsuit. And I said, listen, we don't know if we're going to win. We don't know if we're going to lose. I can't be as certain as Bill Ritter is about these things. I don't know what happens with how judges think. Let's set this aside. And on a party line vote, that didn't happen.
Right.
I heard there was close to a dozen such proposals. to put this money aside. So when I hear something that this is going to harm the children, that this is going to cause problems, the legislature, you guys had the opportunity this year, knowing this lawsuit was in the works, to set it aside. Why the hell didn't you?
More than 5 times this year we had the opportunity to set it aside, in addition to probably 6 or 7 from last year. But I think that the Democrat caucus in the House and the Senate were bent on spending that money, increasing social programs, growing welfare programs for the first time in 14 years, and sending us down the road of bigger, more intrusive government. And they used this $118 million to do that. And in doing so, I think that they have, and in ignoring Republican requests and amendments and bills to set that money aside just in case what happened, I think that they have put us in a position where if we don't act quickly, we're going to have problems that I think will have long-standing
Unless, of course,
ramifications.
the governor knows something we don't know, and the Supreme Court is going to go exactly the way he wants.
He is,
I don't
he
know
is
this.
confident.
We've only got a couple minutes left. Richard, let me ask you, for somebody who's new to this subject, and we've been hip deep in this now for a better part of a year, looking at all these wonderful things, and it's pretty clear to us, what should they walk away with? For the layman who sees this and sees that there's a lawsuit, the governor lost it, he's appealing, there's money on the table, what's really at the crux?
Follow the money. You're talking about a tax increase, and look at the tax increase and ask the basic question. If you're going to grow government by the tune of $4 billion over 10 years, if you're going to raise an additional $118 million in this fiscal year alone, additional new property tax dollars, don't you think the voters have to vote on that before that money is raised?
The governor's representative said that this was a publicity stunt, that what you filed for us was a publicity stunt. You knew it wasn't.
It certainly wasn't from my perspective, and I was the one that brought the lawsuit.
All right, so now what's the responsible thing for a government to do? Given that this is, well, I don't know which way the Supreme Court's going to go on this. The Supreme Court is not usually friendly to these issues, so what should we do politically?
That's not my call.
That's not my
Frank's
call.
call. That's the governor's call. That's his colleagues' call.
All right, the last quick question. When do you think we're going to get resolution on this?
If in fact they go forward and appeal,
Which they haven't done as far as this taping.
which they haven't done as of yet, but they keep saying they're going to. I've got to believe they will. If they're going to do that, then we're going to strongly urge the court to rule by the end of November, because otherwise the mill levies have to be certified again for the next fiscal year in December of this year, and we need an answer by the end of this year.
You cannot call a special session. You can't do anything. Only the governor can. Real quickly, what do you want to happen? Got about 10 seconds.
I think the governor should tell the people of Colorado how he intends to backfill that $118 million, or call the legislature back in a special session, and we'll do it for him.
Frank, thank you. Richard, thank you. You and your partner, Alan, did a great job. Thank you. Check out our webpage. We'll even put the ruling on there so you can learn more about it yourself. Go to independenceinstitute.org. We'll see you next week.
You jabba jab, bamboozle, nuka noozle, bippity bop she-call. You jabba jab, bamboozle, nuka noozle, bippity bop she-call. I mean, you keep on talking, but you don't know where to turn it off. The day I met you, wish I'd been in